What's up, guys? In the previous video we were talking about arithmetical operations, how to divide, how to multiply between variables, numbers, strings. I was referring strings as messages, but the real name of the object is called strings. So now we are going to emphasize on strings. So okay, let's start by creating a new file which is going to be called strings.py. Okay, so this will be our program. Let's declare one variable called a, and inside this variable we are going to have the message, the string hello world 2021. Okay, now let's try to print it, and we just have to put a. Okay, if now we execute this program, it is obvious what is going to happen. It is going to print the variable that we just created, which is hello world to 2021. But we don't want to do it in this way, because if we have to change this number, we have to change it in the variable, and that's not a good idea. It's better to create a variable to save that value. So for example, let's create the variable b, in which we are going to save the number 2021. And in order to make this a little bit more complex, we are going to also save the value world. Okay, so now we are going to remove this from here, and now we want to print the previous message. For that we have to concatenate, and in order to concatenate we have to use the addition symbol, which is this one. So yeah, let's create the variable d, and in d we are going to create the previous messages using all these previous values. So for this, first we have to put hello, which is a, and now we concatenate a with world. But remember that between hello and world there's an space. So we simply have to put here the message that contains an space. So for now we just created this, not this, this is what has been created. Now we have to concatenate the world message, and yeah, if we execute this now, let's say that we want to print the, if we execute this, you will see that you are printing the value hello space and C. But we want to add also the 2021. So okay, let's do it. We would need to add a space, and now we just simply put B. Whoop, there's an error. Why is there an error? Because we can only concatenate strings, not integers. So the problem is that B is an integer, and the same happens with float numbers. So if we put here 2021.5, it says that, hey, you cannot use float, you can only use strings. So how do we fix this? We could do this, but this isn't a good idea, because look, if we do this, okay, but why making a number a message in this way? This isn't a good idea, because yeah, like now we can only use this variable to concatenate with messages, and we cannot use this number for anything else. So in order to remove this error, we just simply have to transform this to a string, and in order to do that we have to do a cast. Now in this way we are transforming the number b well, the variable b, which had the number 2021, into a string. It's basically doing this. It's taking the value and transforming it into a string. So now if we try to execute this, it works, because now it takes all this message is a string, even this. It takes the b value and transform it into a string. So for example, if we put .5, the same happens. It takes the value and it transforms it to an string. Now, let's say that we want to know the length of all this sentence. It's pretty simple. We just have to put here len. If now we execute it, it says 18. This message has 18 characters. But why put in len here and not, for example, here? If we do this, D has stored the number 18. We print, and yeah, we are printing the length, but if we want to print the message, we cannot print it. The message has gone away. The message is here. And just here, because len returns the value of the length to D. So we do not have the value of the variable anymore. We just have the value of the length. For this reason, it's better to store to call the len function in this way, because now if you see, we are telling print, okay, print the length of the message and print the message. 18, hello world. Now let's remove this and it will be 16. Yeah, you see? Okay, another thing we can do with strings is the reverse. Now we transform a number into a string, but we can transform a string into a number. For this, let's remove everything and let's create the variable a equal to 1 and b equal to the string that contains the number 4. Now we want to have the result of adding a plus b, 4 plus 1. But this is not going to work. Why not? Because we cannot operate between numbers and strings. If we try to print C, error, we cannot operate an int between with a string. How do we fix this? As we did before, we can transform the string into a number. Before we transformed the number into a string, but now we want to transform the string into a number. So we just simply put this, and we are transforming this number into an integer. If we execute this, we have it. The same happens with 4.5. The same happens with 4.5. But as you can see, 4.5 is not an integer number, it's a float number. It has decimals. So we have to put here float. And you see it works. But a message can have a lot of things, not only numbers. So for example, if we put here 4.5 a, now it's not going to work because a is not a number. It doesn't matter if we put here int and we remove here the 4.5. It's not going to work because a is not a number. So yeah, that was everything. I hope that you enjoyed it and it was helpful, and see you in the next one. Don't forget to go and check my website, in which I talk about trading and cryptocurrencies and all that stuff for a very cheap price.
Damn, Sosa. You going crazy.
Quédate tranquilo, 666. Estoy bajando todo, lo siento. Te quedas en no.
Ay.